time to put some wire in this dusty old thing. This is the Lincoln 140 MIG. It runs on 110, and I ran out of wire, so I'm gonna put some new wire in. Let's see, this machine here, it should be labeled somewhere. It takes 0.30 and, or sorry, 0.03 and 0.035 takes those size wires. So I'm going to loosen this. This one here, I keep it a little bit loose already. It's snug, but so I'm going to loosen those up, loosen this up here, and fold it down. It sort of opens up after you loosen it. And this here swings open. And this here comes off completely. I'm just going to set this down here for a minute and don't lose track of the way it goes. There's an arrow in the gun, so it shows you which way it goes there. There's teeth on there and there's teeth on here, and when it's tight, it feeds your wire through. It pushes the wire through this little guide here, and the guide is labeled right here. The size of the wire, 0.35 to 0.45. Oh, I was wrong. Well, clearly I'm using the wrong size wire. Should have got 3.5 instead of 3.0. But anyway, it'll take 0.35, 0.40, 0.45. And when you put your new spool on, you want to make sure that it's kind of snug. You don't want it spinning too easy. You want a little bit of resistance on there, because when you undo this wire here, she can uncoil, and if you don't hold it tight and make sure this doesn't spin on you, she can uncoil on you, and I've had it happen to me before. So there's an edge on here where it's hooked, and I'm going to unhook it, and I'm going to cut off the chunk I'm going to cut off the hook end or the bent end, because you want it to be nice and straight on the end when you put the wire in. So I'm going to cut the end off. I'm going to be careful that it doesn't come unwound on me, and I'm going to guide it through this little guide hole here. I'm going to guide it through there, and I'm going to hold it into that slot there while I put the faceplate on. Make sure that it's lined up into this groove. There's a groove in this wheel here. Make sure that it's in that groove and in both of these slots, and then I'll put the faceplate back on. I probably won't be able to do it while I hold the camera. Okay, I've got my wire. I got the wing nut on snug, so it doesn't turn too easy, but it doesn't turn too hard. And I've got the wire, I just fed it through manually by hand and right into the gun here, or whatever it is. So that way you know that it's not going to get bound up trying to enter there. So I entered it all manually, and I pulled the old wire out. I think I pulled it out yesterday, but anyway, pulled the old wire out of the gun. And now it's ready to put the caps back on. Make sure that you're in this horizontal groove and the vertical groove of the wheel, both. And I am. So I'm going to take this cap here and make sure that it's on properly. Try to do this with one hand here while I hold the camera. Okay, and the top piece can go back down again. Make sure that the wire is still in the slot of the wheel there, which it is. That slot in the wheel has like little grabber teeth, and it'll push the wire. So I'm gonna close the lid here now and flip this handle over again and tighten it up a little bit to hold pressure on the wheel. And every time I change the wire, I change the tip also. So this is a MIG welder that runs on argon gas, but I'm using it for a flux core wire, so I'm not using any argon gas. It's just a flux core wire, so I don't need any gas, or I'm not using any. So I don't have the I only need one. So on the head of the gun here, I don't have any boot for the gas. The gas comes out of those holes there, but I don't have any boot on it because I'm only using flux core. So this little tip here just unscrews, and I can usually unscrew it by hand. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, I turn the welder on. Make sure this isn't too tight or too loose, just enough that it can spool. And I put the new tip on. Put the new tip on the gun, which is really hard to see for some reason. And I'm going to pull the trigger on the gun here, and you'll probably see it unspool. So I'm just going to keep feeding it until it comes out of the tip of the gun here. And I'm just going to keep an eye on down in that slot there. Down in that slot there. Make sure that everything's okay. Make sure the wire doesn't pile up on the way out. It'll take a minute because it has to feed all through the wire to get out the gun. And you can sort of feel it in your hand. Don't electrocute yourself while you're doing this, but you can feel the wire when it starts coming through when it comes through your hand, like it comes through the wire, you can feel it. So there it is. And now I'm ready to weld again.